Well, good morning. This is Dean Tinney. I'm coming to you from my studio here in fabulous Las Vegas. Doing something new on the channel. As you know, if you've subscribed to the channel, please do. If you have not, we organize the channel on playlists. So you find your series, and then in your series playlist would be the lectures in the proper watch order. And they're narrative lectures. And so we already have lecture 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then the first 3 of those lectures are appropriate for the SIE and the Series 65. And the 4th lecture on multiple option strategies is only appropriate for the Series 7. But what I'm doing is pulling out some of those strategies and putting them in a separate little, thing. If you're looking for protective puts, for example, that's today's little, no, I don't know, ditty, if you will. I'm going to try to make it a little shorter than some of our other things. Let me know what you think. If you like this, then I'll do the same for covered calls, which is another strategy that's on both the SIE 7 and 65. And for 7s, I'll pull the spreads out. I'll pull the straddles out, combinations, and do little ditties like this on them. And, that way you can find that if you don't want to sit through the title narrative lecture again, or you just need a review of the strategy. The other thing I'm going to do a little differently as the channel has evolved is, I make some lectures, and when the content is the same, what I've been doing is, putting Series 7, for example, and then SIE 65 too. So I think what I'm going to do moving forward, and I've been doing this on my application of the 65, 66, is just, load it differently so it doesn't say that. So it'll be the same lecture, but it'll show up in the SIE as an SIE thing only, and show up in the 65 playlist as a 65 and 7. That way it doesn't have this cloud of, this is for you and you and you and not you. So that's kind of what my game plan is. Now, I'm calling it a protective put. It doesn't matter what you call a protective put. Technically, what I'm going to be showing you are married puts. We're going to marry a stock or marry a put to a stock position. And, the distinction is not a testable distinction, because what we're just trying to do in our own brain housing group is distinguish between a speculative bearish put, where, I'm just buying the put. Speculative positions are where I just have an option contract, may end up with a stock, but I don't start with the stock. And we need to contrast that where I'm actually, have a stock position. Now, in outside of, the testing world, fantasy land of the test, these 2 paths you get to leave. I'm stuck here permanently. No wonder I'm demented. But in a married put, we get to add the premium to our cost base. And cost base primarily follows break even. And, that's not true if we buy the put later on. So, technically a married put is when I buy the stock and the put at the same time, which I'm going to be showing you. There's no, this testable distinction here, maybe prep question distinction. But and a protected put is when I have the stock and then I buy the put after the fact. And in that case, I don't get to add the stock, the cost of the insurance to my stock position, if you will. It's separate transaction. I have to be a little careful about that, because a lot of people think to qualify for a long-term capital gain, you have to have a position for more than 12 months. But to be accurate, you have to be at risk for more than 12 months. And so if you're at risk for more than 12 months in a stock and then you buy the protection, the choice to sell, well, that's fine. But if you have not been at risk for more than 12 months in the stock position, later on you buy the protective put, well, then you might interrupt the holding period, because you have now a choice to sell and you're no longer at risk. So, there are minute, testable, taxable, I should say taxable distinctions. I don't think testable distinctions. All right, so here's what we're going to be showing you today. Is we're going to be showing you a long stock position plus a long put position. And I can't tell you how many people get hung up. And most of the time when they get hung up, what they're doing is letting this put contract you see here, the tail, wag the dog. And you got to stay focused on the dog, the stock position dominates. The stock position dominates. And so, as I mentioned, what we're going to be doing is marrying a put contract to the stock position. Now again, I could say this a different way. I could say marrying a choice to sell the stock, because that's what that is, to that stock position. And as I mentioned, that's where most people get hung up. And so You really got to be careful whenever you're looking at a stock position to remember that the stock position dominates. That stock position dominates. Well, you always want to be able to offset. So that means if we buy the stock, what we want to be able to do is sell the stock. And so for protection, that means we're going to buy the option contract, a choice to sell, protect to put, or for income, we're going to sell the option contract. We're going to do a covered call. So again, let me know if you like this little pulling this out and doing this as a separate discussion, because if so, the next one I'll do is a covered call. All right, so let's look at a position here. Let's look at a position. All right, so most protection along stock position. This answer set is very, very, very important. I mean, I've been thinking at some point just doing a whole thing of, answer sets with no answers and just saying these are important. So if I'm long the stock, I've already bought the stock, I'm interested in being able to sell the stock. And so there's a 50-50 choice right out of the gate. I can create the obligation to sell the stock I own. We said that would bring in income. That's a covered call. And that's not what we're trying to do here. What we're trying to do is protect this stock position. And so, or I can establish a choice to sell. Now I use choice. Some people use right, but who cares? Choice to sell the stock. And that's important because for protection, we buy, and for income, we sell the option contract, buy the option contract. So that's what we're going to do. The answer here is going to be C, go long a put or buy a put. Remember, now I'm being nice here to put or, it's your job to know that long or buy are synonymous intellectually. It means a choice, right? And then you have two types of contracts, calls and puts. You can either buy them or sell them. And so that means we have four basic positions. And this position is pretty bueno. Let me tell you why it's bueno here in a minute. Let me get a bigger thing. In terms of suitability, this is pretty cool to have the ability to participate in a big price increase, but not participate in a big price decline. That's pretty cool. By marrying the put to the stock position, we're putting in a floor. We're doing construction. Construction costs money. Construction costs money. So we're going to put in a floor here. And by buying the put, we're going to have the ability to participate in a big price increase because we don't have to sell if we don't want to, and not participate in big price decline. So that's why we're doing buying the put to protect the stock position. All right, well, let's look at a position here. Let's look at a position. Now, there's a lot of ways to go about options, as I always tell people, you should think of my content as a buffet, take what you like, leave what you don't. And I like to use dollars out, dollars in. I like to track money, and the reason I like tracking money is because if you get good at contract specifications, in other words, you're not fumbling around that this is, a choice to sell 100 shares of Apple at 175, and you can track money, you're in pretty good shape. Now, the other thing I always like to do as part of my process is underneath the option leg, not Tesla, it's called a leg. Underneath that, I like to say, okay, what am I looking at there? What am I looking at? And what I'm looking at is a choice. I like to use choice. Some people like to use right, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because the test is going to tell you RIGHT or choice. That's what you got to bring to the intellectual property. A choice to sell the stock at the strike price. And then the other thing I mentioned to you is you've got to really be careful. The number one thing people get hung up on is this idea of the shares. And so let's just get a thicker line here. And boy, you got to, stay focused. Let me get a different color for that. Now, 100 shares. You got to stay focused on the 100 shares. That's what's going on. So the stock position, as we mentioned, dominates. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to track the money. Now, you can memorize break-evens if you'd like, but if you go down the memory road, as I always warn you, the stuff you got to memorize is going to continue to compound. And so here, I'm going to put it in red because it's going to be money out. And boom, that's what we paid for the Apple. And then we paid for the protection. 6 points. Now, this is what I like to do, Dean. I like to say, okay, well, I'm out 176 for the stock. I'm out 6 points for the protection. So I'm net out of pocket 182. 182. That's how I like to think about it is, when I do the setup. Now, some people like to actually, subtotal that, and I'll do that in just a minute. But once I get that, I like to shop my answer set and say, okay, well, I need ultimately a number that makes the columns balance because that's what break even is. So break even here is 182. Now let's put that in there. And as I mentioned, if you want to, you can just memorize stuff. As I warned you, once you start memorizing stuff, the amount of stuff you got to memorize is going to compound. And so here, let me get out my. There is our break even. This is the one time and the one time only, by the way. The one time and the one time only that we have a put and we're not subtracting to get the break even. And the reason we're not subtracting is because this is not an option position. This is a stock position. And so there is our break even. So stock cost plus premium is the break even. Now, we're not really doing this because of the max gain. We're not really doing this because of the max gain. I don't have to sell if I don't want to. And, I think a customer is kind of a jerk if they say, well, gee, Dean, I wasted my money for the protection. I didn't need to be able to stick it to somebody, the Apple at 175. I said, well, listen, we're not doing this because of the gain potential. We still have unlimited gain potential because we don't have to sell the stock if we don't want to. So we still have unlimited gain potential. We didn't put in a ceiling, we're putting in a floor. So we still have unlimited gain. So the max gain here is unlimited. The reason we're doing this is because of the max loss. The max loss. That's why we're doing this. So as you see here, we're out 176 for the Apple. We're out 6 points for the protection. So as we said, we're out of pocket. We're out of pocket 182. As you recall, 182 was our break even. And this is what's cool. XP means strike price. Again, you can memorize that the maximum loss is the break even to the strike price. Or let me put this in green. Anytime I want, remember we said, let's get our little arrow here. And that's why I did this. Anytime I want, let's get a smaller arrow. Let's put this in green. Anytime I want, I can exercise my put contract on the Apple. And I can sell the stock at 175 because remember, that's the whole point. I bought the protection. Now, again, you can either memorize that the maximum loss is, let me get out my, and I just think, that's, You can memorize the maximum losses, the break even to the strike. In this case, 182 to 75. That was, my break even. To 175. That's where my floor is, right? Options are all about floors and ceilings. And, I think about this 175. Let's just put that there. I think of that as my floor at 175. Construction. We did construction costs money. Okay, so I just want to give you a working model of a protective put. Like I say, put in the comment box if you find this productive, because if so, I'll do this on each of the positions. If you want to do more than one, I'm trying to keep it down to 15, 20 minutes on these kind of discussions. So that's why you do it. Okay, so let's just review here. Okay, so as we said in the stock position answer set, it's going to be A, B, C, D. And here I'm just showing you that that's going to be your choice on the exam. When you have a stock position, either long or short, those are the two stock positions. And I'll, like I say, if I get positive feedback, I'll do the same thing for a short stock position. And remember, we're either going to go long a call or short a call, or long a put or short a put. There's our 4 answer sets, and based on the stock position. So in terms of the stock position, if I'm long the stock, I want to be able to sell the stock. Remember, the stock position dominates. So that means I'm going to be bullish. So, the stock dominates. You're going to be all messed up if you're, going to your matrix and going, oh, okay, I'm long a put, I'm a bear, I'm short a call, I'm a bear. No. When you have the stock dominates. So you're bullish or you wouldn't own the stock if you didn't own the stock. Again, don't let the tail wag the dog. And so if you're a bull, if you want protection, by the way, you get a 50-50 once you're long the stock, because you got to be able to do the offset. So if you're going to be a long put or a short call. So for protection, we buy the option contract, and for income, we sell the option contract. So if the test question says protect, you would say buy a put. That's the one I've showed you in today's little ditty. And income, you're going to sell a call. That's a covered call, And like I say, based on feedback, if you find this productive, let me know, and I'll do that. That'll be the next one I'll do. Remember, the other stock position we have is a short stock position. Remember, the short stock position always dominates. And again, we're interested in the offset. So if I've shorted the stock, I'm interested in being able to buy back the stock. So again, the buy back the stock means I'm either going to go long a call or short a put. And so bearish, remember, stock dominates. Again, you're going to be all messed up if you go, oh, I'm long a call, I'm a bull. No, stock dominates. And so if you're a bear, you can either be a smart bear or a dumb bear. There's a smart bear, and I'll show that to you. If you find these productive, I'll show that to you after I show you a covered call. That would be the next installment of this kind of a series. And then the next one would be to show you the, not to be stupid, because, that's still going to expose you to unlimited risk. All right. So hope you found that productive. Again, like, share, subscribe, give me some feedback. Tell me what you think. And, if I get some feedback, positive feedback, the next installment of this little thing would be a covered call. Again, I'll be putting this into the SIE playlist, the Series 7 playlist, and the 65 playlist separately. I'm not going to have a thing that says, Series 7 and 65 and 60 SIE 2. So again, hope you're having a good holiday season, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.